let's start it. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar from Command to Collaboration, Reimagining the Human-AI Relationship, which is a webinar that has been organized by 5 European Union-funded projects. So Tango, AI for RealNet, HumAInE, THEMIS 5.0, and PEER, which are 5 projects that are working on the interaction between humans and artificial intelligence for human empowerment. We have been already working together on some activities. We have been creating some workshops together, some white papers, and we've started with today. We start a series of webinars on common topics and synergies that we have between our projects. So what we are going to do today is that we're going to start with this welcome introduction by me. My name is Claudia Esposito. I work on the communication side of one of the projects, or one of the 5 projects, Tango, and I will be the presenter for today. Then we will follow with a short introduction and presentation from the projects, from 4 of the projects that are organizing it. So we're going to have Professor Dimitris Apostolou from THEMIS 5.0, Professor Tony Weffler from AI for RealNet, Professor Andrea Passerini from Tango, and Dr. Bretos Moulos from HumAInE, who will present shortly the 5 projects and their interaction on the topic of the webinar. The 4 of them will be joined by Dr. Yorgos Manias from Tilburg University and working on the project COMFORTage to give an external opinion, and join them in an open discussion on the themes of the webinar. If you have questions or comments during the discussion or the presentation, at the bottom of your screen you already find the section for the Q&A session. So you can start dropping your questions already during the discussion, and at the end of it, I will read them out to the speakers. If for any reason, time constraints, or because one of the speakers has to leave and can't answer the questions there, we will still collect them and reach out to you by email with an answer after the end of the webinar. As the other general household rule is that we are going to record the webinar now, so that we're going to be able to share it later on our channels, on our websites, both social media websites. We are going to record it. We're going to record it and cut off the Q&A session so that your names and your any type of personal data won't appear. So only the names of the speakers and the host will be there. That should be all for the moment. So I'll stop sharing it and leave it to the speakers. So I'll start it with Professor Tony Weffler from AI for RealNet, if you want to start.
Yes, thank you. I'm sharing my presentation. Can you see my presentation?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm happy to represent the AI for RealNet project. My name is Tony Weffler. I'm from the University of Applied Sciences and Arts Northwestern Switzerland, from the School of Applied Psychology. So I'm a psychologist, and I'm looking at the human-AI collaboration from the psychological point of view. What do we do in the AI for RealNet? We are focusing critical networks, like, for example, power grids or air traffic control or rail dispatching, rail management, and we are aiming at supporting human dispatchers by AI. And we are looking at 3 different modes of collaboration of human and AI. One is where the AI gives recommendations to the operator, and there is full human control. The second is that we want to combine human and AI so that they have kind of a joint decision making. And the last one is full AI control, where the human is a supervisor of an autonomous AI. So in my talk now, for the next some minutes, I will focus on this second combination of human and AI, where human and AI are to be combined together to make them able to have a joint decision making. And I'm focusing on that now from my psychological perspective. So what are the problems that we face there from a psychological perspective? One is what we call algorithm aversion, where we see that humans are reluctant to really use imperfect algorithms. Another one is the over-reliance, where we find that humans tend to not engage analytically with recommendations and explanations that AI is providing to them because they are not motivated. They also tend to accept incorrect recommendation, even if they would have made better decision themselves without the AI. And finally, when the humans do not engage with AI-generated recommendations and do not question them, then the performance of the human-AI collaboration is decreasing. So that's the background. And now what we're aiming at in the project is to develop an AI and a human-AI collaboration where the AI is going beyond just giving the human recommendations with explanations, but rather supporting human cognitive processes. And I'm focusing a little bit more in that. So one process in the human we want to support by AI is that the human understands the problem. So we adopt the concept of situation awareness. You know, humans that are experts in what they do, they know what is to be monitored in the networks. They know what is important, what is not important. They know how to interpret the situation and also predict how the situation will develop. And all these cognitive processes can be supported by the AI. The AI can, for example, help the human monitor the right thing. And then second cognitive process is decision making. So expert humans, they know which are the leverage points, what decisions lead to what outcome. They can compare different decisions to others. And also there, the AI can support all these cognitive processes. For example, by letting the human explore to find better which leverage points to solve a problems have the most impact. Next is AI also can support learning. So the experts, they have a lot of tacit knowledge, which they did not learn in the school or by the books, but by experience. And experience from a psychological point of view means that you really explore something, think about it, learn about what you experienced and integrate that in your knowledge. That's one cognitive process of learning. And all these phases of this learning can be supported by the AI too. And finally, also very important from psychological point of view, motivation is very important so that the human really engage with what the AI, for example, provides them with. And motivation is not only a feature of the person, but also a feature of the task. For example, for motivation, people need to understand the meaningfulness of what they do. So that means the AI does not only have to support the know what and the know how, but also the know why. So people need to know why they do what they do and why some solutions or procedures should be better than others. And the AI can also provide more insights into the why. So that's very important from a motivational point of view. So with these four cognitive processes, I want to emphasize that in human AI collaboration, the support of the AI can go far beyond just giving recommendations with explanations, but really support those cognitive processes that I was just mentioning in the last minute. And that also means that there are many forms of human AI interactions that are possible. For example, of course, the AI can provide transparency by providing information. But the AI also can allow the human to explore a problem by providing a simulation and exploring different impacts of different decisions that can be taken. Or the AI can animate the human to consciously think about what they do because the experts do a lot of things based on their experience out of the belly and are not always conscious of what they do. So the AI can, for example, observe them and ask them why they do something in order to, for example, support learning processes. And also finally, the AI can also mirror the human because the human, if they take decisions in critical networks, they do it not the same way over the day. Some of the humans, they are more risky in the beginning of the shift, less risky by the end of the shift, and they are not really aware on their decision-making style. And the AI can observe them and mirror their style and so to support more learning about themselves and self development processes and self-reflection processes. So finally, when we're talking about human and AI collaboration, we would like to aim at this uh, co-learning or joint decision-making human AI interaction to get a hybrid intelligence. And hybrid that would mean that we combine the human and the artificial intelligence so that they can show together a higher performance than human or I can achieve separately. And that means that the AI needs to go beyond just solving the problem itself and providing the human with a recommendation, and also that they together continuously learn from each other so that they, as a human machine system or as a human AI team, become better and better. That's what we aim at, and that's what we do based on a complementary approach. And complementary means the humans and the AI, they have different strengths and weaknesses. Like, for example, the AI is very good in computing, but the human is very good in thinking, and computing and thinking is not the same. So that we combine these two abilities so that together they, for each other or mutually promote their strengths and compensate for weaknesses. That's what we aim at, and that's what we understand from a psychological point of view of under human AI collaboration. Thank you very much for your attention.
Yeah. Thank you for the presentation. Very interesting to know what you've been working on. And sure, it's going to have some points in common with the next presentation, as I will leave it to Dr. Rectos Munoz for the introduction of the project HumAINE.
Yeah, hi. Just give me a minute to share my screen.
Yeah.
You can see my screen, right?
Yes, it's in presentation mode.
Okay. Let's keep as it is. It's not an issue. It will take a couple of minutes, so I will hurry up my presentation. So, hi from my side also. My name is Vretos Moulos. I'm working in Greece at UPRC, University of Piraeus. I'm researcher there, and I'm technical coordinator of the European project HumAINE. So the project mainly tackles the issues of human and AI collaboration in a way that tries to identify all the information that is exchanged between the people and the system. So we identified the roles in this project were mainly is the developer from one side that maintains the system or implements the system, and the people that interact with the system, which could be the decision maker or any other end user. So in our case, what we are trying to do is to identify all these interactions and create a new, let's name it, operating system, as we call it, where we are trying to present best practices for all these interactions. So our vision is to create a platform. So we are going to provide an SDK also where the end users or the developers could implement with the tools that we are going to give an AI system which is compliant with AI Act and compliant with the FRIA or any other ISO standards that could ensure the final result of the AI implementation. So, in order to give you a brief idea about how we envision this implementation, I can show you the architecture where mainly the only thing that I would like to keep is that we have two pillars. The one which is the operating system, as we call it, where we are implementing and defining everything regarding the service per se. So the most important thing in interaction with the human factor is the gateway pal, as we call it, which mainly is a set of APIs where we expose everything to the end user as a feedback or insight information. And from the other side, let's go to the point of the runtime environment. We have a HumAINE system, as we call it, or interface suite, where we are also exposing workflows, graphs, and benchmark results in order to identify the performance of the system. So having this, one of the most critical and important thing to define is these paradigms, the core of the operating system, which we define or we pick in order to be representative for the paradigms that exist in AI, the active learning, symbolic learning, swarm learning, and explainable AI. So for each of these paradigms, we define workflows and best practices which can guide you to a best practice result and best practice application, AI application. So my final slide is about how we try to identify if our implementation works well. So this slide presents you the use case that we have, which are quite interesting since, as you can see, we have cases which are close to AI for RealNet, like smart energy, for example, or smart manufacturing. And we have cases like smart care of like diabetes or oncology, which are quite close with COMFORTage, as George Magnas is going to present you in a couple of minutes. So that's it from my side as an introduction.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And we will see more of the real applications later in the open discussion. So we'll have more about it. Before going to the next presentation, I just wanted to say for the people that joined later that if you have questions during this presentation or discussion, there is at the bottom of the screen as a Q&A section where you can already start dropping your questions. Just remember to mention for who it is addressed, so that when we will read them at the end, we know the person that has to answer. We know that it's for them. So thank you again, and I will go to the next presentation with about Tango with Professor Andrea Passerini.
Okay, again, let me share my screen also. Okay, can you see it full screen?
Perfect.
Okay. Good. So, good day, everybody. Andrea Passerini from University of Trento. I am the coordinator of the Tango project. The full name of the project is It Takes Two to Tango, a synergistic approach to human-machine decision-making. So I like to kind of give the vision of the Tango project by a couple of vignettes. Okay, so basically we have this kind of hope and fear kind of trade-off when we talk about AI. Is it a threat to humankind from the big, let's say, dystopic ideas of conquering the world to the more, let's say, close maybe ideas of stealing our jobs? Okay. And there is instead kind of the opportunity of AI to make our lives better and actually, in particular, also augmenting humans. Okay, and the idea that our smartphones can be more intelligent than us is kind of in between these kind of things. The idea of Tango is that in order for this to happen, so for the positive side to materialize, there has to be some mutual understanding, which is not only humans understand AI, so explainable AI and these kind of things, but also AI understands humans. Okay, so where AI understands humans, we heard already contributions from psychology. We also mean AI knows about human biases. Okay, and so how they would interpret suggestions from the AI, aversion bias, for instance, but confirmation bias and many others that can affect the result of the interaction. Now, in Tango, we deal with this by working closely between cognitive and computational scientists. So we have this kind of cognitive computational loop that combines research on human and hybrid decision-making, mutual understanding from the cognitive perspective, and how these can materialize in computational developments. So from the cognitive side, we have stuff like virtual bargaining. So one thing that is interesting that came out of this research is the fact that we should be more interested in aspects of interactive explainability and let's say coherence rather than fully white box behavior. So partially black box behavior is fine provided you are able to do a rationalization and be, let's say, consistent with what you rationalize. And this also is something we see in humans. From the computational perspective, we have the aspect of learning, where we work on all the areas that are crucial for the interaction, from neurosymbolic interaction, that integration that involves learning and reasoning, sub-symbolic and symbolic approaches to learning, interactive machine learning, so human in the loop, guided by explainability for better learning, and learning to complement. So learning to leverage the respective strengths of each partner and compensate for their weaknesses. And then this should materialize into better hybrid decision-making at the individual level, like talking about personalization, preference elicitation, things like that. At the shared level, so talking about conflict resolution and dealing with different perspectives, team decision-making, so collaborative AI and teams, team analysis, solving problems of coordination, to social policy making and group decision-making, cooperative AI, these kind of aspects. So we are trying to cover the different perspectives of the decision-making, and we have case studies that address each of them as representative scenarios. So supporting pregnant women and actually of the whole perinatal period for health and well-being, about individual decision-making, supporting surgical teams in their operation, pre, intra, and post-operative decisions, and also coordination in order to have better results, avoid errors, and overall provide a better support to patients. Credit lending, so supporting both officers, so bank officers, to provide fair decisions, but also customers to have hence suggestions for low-cost changes that can overturn decisions, so what's called algorithmic recourse. And policy making, finally, in terms of, let's say, overall decisions, policies with support for AI, both in terms of data analysis and in terms of explainable recommendations. This is it. It's a quick overview. Thanks a lot for the attention. Happy to take questions later.
Thank you. Yes, and we're going to see anyway talk more about especially the real cases in the discussion. So thank you for the overview for the moment. And I will go to the fourth and last of our projects, which is introduced by Professor Dimitris Apostolou, which is THEMIS 5.0.
Hello, everybody. Yes, I'm Dimitris Apostolou. I'm a senior researcher at the Institute of Communication and Computer Systems, which is associated with the National Technical University of Athens. The project I represent is THEMIS 5.0, which I should say upfront that it's not targeting explicitly the human AI collaboration, I would say, like the other projects do. It's more about a bit more technical, and it focuses on operationalizing AI trustworthiness. Nevertheless, we quickly realized in the project, and actually it was also our intention from the beginning, is to provide a human-centered solution for trustworthy AI, in the sense that we do not try to offer an automated solution to operationalize AI trustworthiness. Rather, we aim to facilitate the collaboration between humans and, let's say, intelligent methods and systems to operationalize AI trustworthiness. So, more specifically, among the various dimensions of AI trustworthiness, this project focuses only on three. So, fairness, accuracy, and robustness. These are the three dimensions that we try to facilitate in our project. And as I said, it's a human-centered approach, and it aims to provide a personalized and user-friendly way of adapting the solution to the user preferences, let's say the contextual preferences of users regarding assessment, and also try to address both expert and non-expert users with clear insights into an AI system's trustworthiness. This figure shows the overall approach, which has, let's say, three pillars. Technical. On the left-hand side, you can see the knowledge graph, which is, let's say, the knowledge base that we use to facilitate AI trustworthiness assessment. In this knowledge graph, we have captured available methods and also APIs, and also technical services, software services that have been developed both by us and also by the community out there. And as I said, right now it's populated with methods just for robustness, accuracy, and fairness, but it can be enhanced also with methods that address other dimensions. So this is, let's say, the knowledge graph on the left-hand side, top side, and on the bottom left-hand side, you see another major component of THEMIS 5.0, which is a conversational system that supports the interaction between humans and the knowledge graph. So essentially, and as you can see on the right-hand side of this picture, this figure, the whole interaction is quite conversational, and it aims to, let's say, guide the user through an assessment exercise, an assessment project, which, to our view, goes through 4 phases. And this is what we call the trustworthiness operationalized process, TOP. The 4 phases are identify, assess, explore, and enhance. So it's not a one-go operation. The user has to first identify the contextual parameters of a concrete assessment project, let's say the regulatory frameworks that pertain to this particular project, other subjective preferences or constraints that have to be addressed. Then second stage, assess, has to do with the, let's say, search and retrieval of the available methods for doing the assessment and actually implementing the assessment. And for this part, we are using both quantitative methods that produce quantitative metrics, for instance, for accuracy or robustness, or specific metrics in fairness like demographic parity and so on. And then the 2 last phases, explore and enhance, are a bit more interactive and more, I would say, iterative, in which this conversational system aims to assist the expert, having done the assessment, assist the expert, identify one or more or combinations of solutions to mitigate any issues or risks identified in the assessment process. And I said this is iterative because this is really a hard part. I mean, it's really, I think, the most challenging part of our project. The assessment part is, I would say, a bit more straightforward, but the actual enhancement and let's say, addressing issues identified in the assessment process, It's challenging and definitely requires experimentation and interaction. So testing, sandboxing, seeing the effects, going back to see if the risks have been mitigated and so on. So this is the overall approach. And let me finish with a couple of slides saying that it's not just technical, what we offer. It's, of course, it's technical. I mean, it's the system that I mentioned previously, this conversational system with the knowledge graph. But we are also using the notion of cards, and which are used a lot for quite some years in, let's say, data analytics projects by major vendors like Google. And we try to propose and use what we call trustworthiness assessment cards, where we document our findings throughout this four-stage process. So we document, let's say, the context of a particular assessment project, results, and so on, challenges, and so on. I did mention about the process, this four-stage process, and finally, we are working to provide, in addition to the software, a guidebook, like a kind of methodology, complementing, let's say, the use of the system, and aiming again to assist the humans undergoing assessment project. Okay, in the project, as all projects, we have some use cases, and our use cases are from the healthcare sector, and we're trying to assess the assessment of AI systems in the healthcare domain, which is a high-risk domain and very challenging. And we also have two other sectors, one in the maritime, so it's about transportation, assessing AI systems used by ports in particular, where they have systems like prediction systems for estimate time of arrival of vessels, and we try to assess their accuracy and robustness. And finally, the media case has to do with, let's say, fake news and disinformation through AI systems. As I said, we are working on developing also a guidebook to assist the implementation of the process and the use of the system that we are providing. We're working on the cards, and we're trying to develop standardized vocabularies, and also doing the testing in the three use cases. We have done already some applications, and finally, I would like to mention that we have organized a quite successful workshop last year in the European Conference on AI in Bologna, and we plan to follow up this year with a follow-up workshop, which is, you see the title, Trust AI. And I would like to take the opportunity to invite you all to this workshop that focuses on novel methods and tools for AI trustworthiness. The deadline for papers has not announced yet, but it will be towards June, July. And the conference will take place in August, together with the International Conference of AI this year in Bremen, Germany. Yeah, this is my final slide. This is our team at ICCS. So in addition to THEMIS, we are running two other projects that have to do with AI trustworthiness. Extreme XP has to do with large-scale analytics projects, and there, again, the issue of trustworthiness, like fairness of data, is also important. And FAITH is an innovation action where we do some uptake of the technologies in specific sectors, and we're responsible for the educational sector, so AI in the educational sector. And thank you very much. Happy to take any questions now or later. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the introduction, also on the last of the four organizing projects of today. And we will close the presentation slides with the last presentation by Dr. Manias about the project COMFORTage. So if you want to start.
Thank you, Claudia, and many thanks to all the projects for the kind invitation to participate in this outstanding panel today and reflect the opinions and approaches, solutions of the COMFORTage project. Give me 1 minute to share my screen. Okay, hopefully you can see my screen and also in presentation mode.
Yes, now yes.
That's perfect. Okay, thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. My name is George Manias, and I'm really glad and happy to act as the project coordinator of COMFORTage project and also to be together with you in order to present the approaches of COMFORTage in the context of the collaboration between humans and AI. As we know, for many years, AI systems have been designed as tools that follow commands. But of course, as we all know and understand, especially in the healthcare domain, this is not enough because we cannot only base our approaches into just simply recommendations that can be derived from AI systems, but we need AI to collaborate with the healthcare professionals, the caregivers, and of course, the patients. So on this presentation, but also in this panel, we will see how COMFORTage embraces this shift. COMFORTage is a project that specifically targets on healthy aging and dementia and frailty. So in that perspective, the main challenges that have been arised during the last years and we have to tackle and bear into our attention is that, of course, Europe faces a rapid rise in dementia and frailty, especially due to the challenges that are incorporated by the constantly increasing aging population across Europe. Moreover, the care pathways are fragmented, especially across the primary, secondary, and tertiary care. Data exists. Data exists in high volume, in high veracity, but also in many divergent formats, from ranging from electronic health records, imaging, patient-reported outcomes and measures, but they also remain siloed. We need to foster standardization and harmonization of them. This has also implications to the healthcare professionals, to the clinicians, because they lack timely, personalized risk insights that are also explained and well interpreted by the models themselves. And finally, patients and caregivers lack guidance for prevention and daily support. So this implies that we need a strong collaboration between humans and AI in order to tackle these challenges. The COMFORTage vision is that it seeks to build an AI-enabled framework for improved and enhanced early detection, risk stratification, and personalized interventions across the full care continuum, especially targeting on dementia and frailty of the older adults. So, in order to achieve our vision, we have four main pillars. Initially, to standardize the health data integration, especially by utilizing FHIR-based semantic interoperability, to apply AI models for risk identification and progression of the prediction of the disease, to provide personalized recommendation services for patients and caregivers, and also to enhance explainability in the overall decision-making approach and provide well-interpreted insights with regards to the risk of the patients to the healthcare professionals. All these pillars are also coupled with a concrete health technology assessment that captures the ethical, societal, and legal perspectives in order to foster the trustworthiness and reliability in the overall AI utilization. So the overall goal of COMFORTage is not automation rather than augmentation. An AI system, AI-enabled tools that support human decision making transparently and responsibly. As also mentioned previously by one of the speakers, we need to proceed with joint decisions, especially because we have to take into consideration that in alignment with the EU AI Act, healthcare domain is of high risk with regards to enabling AI solutions in it. Now, how we move from command to collaboration, the COMFORTage project fosters the human-centered AI powered by integrated care knowledge. As we have to acknowledge that healthcare decisions do not happen in isolation, rather than instead they should happen within the care pathways and taking into consideration the multidisciplinary collaboration between the different actors that participate in a holistic health pathway. So if we want to break down this into five main dimensions that we need to bear our attention is that explainable AI should show why a risk is detected, in what level, and provide the actual features that interact and influence the final decision. Of course, to provide interactive decision support for clinicians that also supports the continuous feedback loop in order to improve the models and to improve the understanding and the collaboration between the humans and the AI tools. And of course, to provide personalized guidance for patients. Moreover, COMFORTage project introduces an integrated AI care model library that transforms AI from a prediction engine into a collaborative partner that is embedded into the integrated care. In order to achieve our targets and, of course, to assess and evaluate the performance of our tools and of our methodologies, we have different use cases. More specifically, we have 13 pilots across 9 European countries. And we have clinical trials, we have medical clinical studies, digital innovation hubs, and also large-scale social multiplication. In that context, we have different categories of our pilots, ranging from prevention of dementia at community level to investigating the association of dementia with other health conditions, to improve the personalized interventions, especially in the context of the tertiary prevention stage, but also to study the neuromechanics and the fall prevention in the context of frailty, and also to activate an observatory of active aging in the context of digital innovation hubs and living labs. So in that aspect, we foresee to a concrete impact in 2 main pillars, in the healthcare decisions, but also on the empowerment. On the healthcare decisions, we foresee to impact on improved early identification of dementia and frailty driven by joint decisions between humans and AI, to foster the personalization in the overall prevention pathways, and of course to reduce the healthcare burden. But also we have to tackle aspects with regards to digital literacy, and of course to empower clinicians and healthcare professionals with transparent AI support, and also to empower citizens, caregivers, patients with actionable insights. So through this, we are moving to a future that we do not replace human judges, we do not replace human decisions through AI insights and results, but through a concrete and comprehensive collaboration between AI and humans. Thank you very much, and I'm really keen to follow the discussions and the questions that will follow. Thank you.
Thank you so much for participating and for the presentation of your project as well. We've been seeing in all the presentations mentions about real operations, real scenarios. So can I ask the speakers to explain more about how in your project, how is collaboration between humans and AI design, implemented and supported during real operations? Now, there's no need to go with the same order of before, but maybe I can start asking to answer this one to AI for RealNet projects. So Tony, maybe?
Yeah, thank you. So I think it's important to say that AI for RealNet focuses on experts to be supported by AI, human experts with a lot of expertise and knowledge-intensive tasks. And I think it's something very different from, for example, supporting consumer behavior. And say that in real operations, we actually, as mentioned before, have these 3 ways of collaboration. Full human control means the AI solves the problem or makes recommendations for problem solving and gives the human these recommendations. And there we have not only the problem of overtrust, but also the problem of de-skilling, because when people don't do their things themselves anymore, they do not train their skills anymore, and they lose skills. When your car drives autonomously and you have to supervise the driving car, you need to know how to drive the car. But when you never drive the car, you do not learn, or you do not know how to drive the car, and that's a problem. That's why we went to this co-learning mode, where the AI supports human cognitive processes, as I was describing in my talk. And on the operations, when there are real-time decisions to be made, maybe there is not enough time for the human to also explore different solutions because the human needs to act quickly. There might be a problem on how they can decide jointly, but all those dispatchers and those planners, they have a lot of time where they are just monitoring and don't have to intervene. And we can use this time to support their learning processes about the system and the leverage points and whatever they need to learn. And then the third interaction mode that I didn't mention in my talk before is the full autonomous control. And there we have the black box problem. But what we do there is we adopt a concept from Wade and Virgoling from Chalmers University of Göteborg. They are suggesting that you split off the big AI into many little AIs they call primitives, and each of them you can understand intuitively. For example, if you're a train dispatcher, you can have a primitive that helps you check whether a track is ready or not. And the human would then go into the role of director. So the AI primitives are like a lot of musicians in an orchestra, and the human is like the director orchestrating the different primitives. And that, I think, is a very good idea to put to make use of full autonomous AI, but to put the human still into an active role and into control, because the human takes the strategic decisions and orchestrates these AI. So that's the three ways how we try to support human decision making during real operations. But in this network control, I think it's important that you don't have to take decisions very quickly all the time. If there is an emergency, of course, or if there is an incident, you have to react quickly. But there is a lot of time where you can just monitor the system and use the time to explore the system and learn about the system. And that's what we aim at. I don't know whether it was answering your question, but I'm happy to take more questions.
Thank you, actually. Yeah, well, I will leave it to the other speakers if they want to add something about their work or comment on your intervention.
Yeah, maybe I can say something. Now, I think that there is quite a difference between, I think Tony was also mentioning somehow, the interacting with an expert and interacting with a layperson, no? Because one problem when we see interaction with large language models, okay? So one big problem there is that somehow there is kind of a chicken and egg that you have to know the answer in order to know whether you can reliably trust what the LLM says, no? Now, this is a bit of an extreme, but being an expert somehow allows you to better understand whether you can you trust the feedback that you receive from the AI system. On the other hand, the AI system should struggle to be explicit about its uncertainty and be able to let's say, formalize correctly its uncertainty, like calibration, know what you don't know, all these kind of things that are often largely missing, but they are crucial when you are talking about interacting with humans. There is one other thing, I think, which is crucial and interesting, which is how to avoid what's called the rubber stamp effect. No, the fact that the human just says yes, yes, yes to whatever the AI says. And one option here that we are exploring is that the AI doesn't provide final suggestions, but hints, okay, and forces the human to reason on the hints. And the hints can be both positive and negative for certain options, so that you can have a picture, a broader picture, having everything that you need in order to make an informed decision. These are aspects that I think are very relevant and are a bit understudied and should be explored more in order to have this kind of, let's say, reliable interaction and not being fooled by biases in the interaction.
Perfect. Yeah.
Can I add a couple of comments? Okay, very interesting discussion and interesting insights also for our project. What Andrea mentioned about hints and not really recommendations, I think makes lots of sense. So in our project, we have also this chicken and egg problem in the sense that we do use intelligent methods to assess the trustworthiness of intelligent systems like AI systems. So, and there was a question also by one of the attendees. So how do we ensure that our agents are trustworthy? So indeed, this is a challenge. And for now, what we try to do is to always try to provide, to have human oversight. So not rely on just what the agents suggest as correct or problematic, but maintain human oversight and also test the agent's recommendations or hints. Test and see if their effects are positive or not, and yet again through human oversight. So this is how we try to test it. Perhaps it's not the optimal way in the sense that when you really rely on human oversight, then the system cannot scale very well, very much. It can be, it cannot be automated. But I think that for now, that's what we can do. Perhaps in the future there are other ways, but now this is what we rely on. So that was my brief comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe I can add something because I fully agree to all what was just said, and I think we have to differentiate between trustworthiness, which is a feature of the AI, and trust, which is an interactive emergent phenomenon between the particular human and the particular AI. And there I think it's very important for the human to have that role that Dimitris was just describing. But I think it's important that if the human gets a passive role, supervising an AI, then we know since many decades from automation research that people are not good in doing that. So they need to have an active role. That's why it's good to have these hints, as were mentioned before. And the AI, for example, not giving a recommendation and explaining the recommendation, but for maybe the AI helping to understanding the problem. And that makes the human more active to be really exploring the limits and the abilities of the AI, which is, I think, important to have an adequate trust, to know what the AI can and what it can't.
Actually, something that has popped out in all of your intervention is about skills, especially human skills. So can I ask you maybe on your project perspective, but in general as well, which human skills do you think will become increasingly important as AI systems move closer to real world deployment?
Can I reflect COMFORTage's opinion here?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Thanks, Claudia. With regards to the human skills, as I mentioned also at the conclusion of my presentation, one of the first things that we have to take care and tackle is the digital and data literacy of the individuals, of the healthcare professionals, of the citizens, of the patients, of everyone. We need to understand that at a first point, the capabilities of AI, its limitations, its the uncertainty that is incorporated in the results in order to have a more reliable utilization of the AI tools, but also of interpretation of the final results and insights and recommendations. Moreover, we have to focus on the clinical judgment and the contextual reasoning, because we need to empower the health professionals to interpret AI outputs within the patient's full medical and social context. The social context is something that was raised also as a question from one of the attendees here, and he just answered. We need to take into consideration things that have also social dimensions to improve inclusiveness, to decrease stigmatization. So these things and these human skills are also things that we have to consider. But of course, interdisciplinary collaboration, working, especially in the healthcare domain, is highly crucial to work closely across the clinical, technical, and organizational boundaries, everyone to be well positioned to collaborate in all the different workflows of the care aspect, and also ethical awareness. We need to know the things as bias, as fairness on risk, and of course, patient consent implications. So these things and these human skills, I think that are things that we have to take into consideration.
Thank you actually for the contribution from a bit of an external project from our group. So yeah, I'll leave it to the other participants.
Yeah, just to add, I think I will say something that is already mentioned before. As a category, AA literacy, it's quite important. It's quite important because you need to explain the decision, you need to explain each step where your decision was relied on, what about the limitations, or what about the data that was used in order to extract that type of information. You must have interpretation skills in order to be able to explain these facts, and definitely you must have documentation and traceability skills in order to document how you took this decision as a human, I mean, and explain the way in the process in order to have a good track and audit due to the legislation that nowadays we have. I think another thing that we already mentioned, but it's important, although it's trivial, is the risk reasoning. You must be capable to understand the use case, the concept, the way that the algorithm works, the way that the use case is structured, in order to identify the risk, identify when it will be easy to take an action without any other help or assistant, or in case you need to return back to the system, or to review again the case, or even to have an assistant from a colleague of yours, or from different sectors. So for AI especially, you have to understand that it's a mix of engineering, law, ethics, operational decisions. So it's not a one-man show, the use cases that we have nowadays or in the near future.
I'd like to also mention, as Georgios was mentioning before, or to emphasize that when human experts are combined with AI, they need even more expertise. We combine the AI with the expert in network control because network control becomes more complex. And it is an illusion if you think that when you have the AI, you need less expertise on the side of the human. You need even more expertise so that they can together solve their problems. Because the better the AI becomes, the more difficult for the human it is, for example, to see when the AI hallucinates. And that makes, so the better the AI becomes, the more experience you need yourself, or expertise on your domain. I think that's very important. And I'm mentioning that because sometimes in industries, I think management thinks that when you have the AI, you need less expertise on the human side. That's not true. If it's knowledge intensive tasks, that's very important. And then I think humans need to understand in their domain knowledge, still the processes, as Retos was also mentioning before. And there I think it's important to know or to distinguish what they need to know. I'm going back to car driving because that's a simple example. If you drive your car, you do not need to understand the engine and how out of the gas there is kinetic energy produced, but you need to understand the driving and what is the real speed, for example, under certain weather conditions and for certain traffic conditions. And I think it's not very easy always to know what the human expert needs to know. He doesn't need to understand the engine, not if he doesn't need to fix the engine, for example. But the process that the human needs to handle, that's, I think, not always easy to see what the expertise is that is required.
I would maybe add one thing to all this. I agree with everything. I would maybe explicitly add critical thinking and inquisitiveness, okay? Because these are, I think, increasingly important in order to understand how to look for additional information, possibly contradicting what is already the current evidence or the current evidence in support of certain decisions with respect to other decisions. Okay, because I think that with this, AI can become an incredible tool if you know how to fully explore, critically explore, and gather additional information and possibly, refrain from making a decision before having all the information that you think is needed. That is really an important, a crucial skill in order to make the most out of it.
Okay, thank you. We've been talking a bit about operation skills. We don't work in a void, so let's have a bit of an idea of the regulatory frameworks. So how do you see emerging regulatory frameworks influencing the design of collaborative human AI systems going forward?
If I may comment, although I am by no means an expert on the regulatory frameworks, the ones that I know of are, I would say, stressing the notion of risks. Seeing an AI system, let's say, as a possible source of risks and trying to identify these risks and finding ways of mitigating them. So that's one thing, let's say, key lesson. And the other, let's say, emerging trend I see is the fact that the regulatory frameworks that I'm aware of stress the need for human oversight. So this definitely should influence the design of systems, software systems like the ones that we are doing in THEMIS or other systems that have to do with AI. So they need to maintain a human-in-the-loop model where collaborative systems are designed to foster trust and ensure safety. And this can be done through mechanisms like transparency, logging is important, being able to trace decisions and recommendations. Explainability, obviously, it's an important design, let's say, concern stemming from the regulatory frameworks. I think these are the ones, together with the more traditional data governance, data provenance, all things about data privacy. These pertain also to AI systems, I think. So, this.
Maybe also a couple of words from my perspective. I think AI regulatory systems can be as usually, let's say, kind of constraints that the society decides to give, and can foster, let's say, new research in order to let's say, meet the requirements, and in particular, when you talk about human oversight, when you talk about reliability, trustworthiness, I think I see this as a potentially positive, let's say, boost, or let's say incentive for innovation in research. Of course, one problem with this kind of regulatory systems is that if they are not worldwide, there can be a bit of a problem. But this is clearly much bigger problem than what we can kind of afford here. But understanding how much this affects everybody and not only European citizens is, I think, pretty crucial in order to make the most out of what these regulatory systems suggest as directions for going towards improvement of society.
I just want to comment one more thing about here, and maybe it's a good opportunity to give you an example about the differentiation that we have in the standards and the regulations. First of all, the approach that Sentinel-Lec is trying to achieve through the JTC 21, which is the AI approach that tries to identify as a standard, is that they are trying to not just to present another standard, but to be aligned with the European values, which it's quite important and something that Europe should have as a flagship. So to give you an example, if we take international standard, we have several international standards from ISO, from IEEE, from ethic committees, whatever. If we take one of the most popular, for example, the 31000 about the risk management, you will understand from this standard, from this ISO, that it mainly focuses to the organizational objectives and the system performance. In contradiction, in AI Act, if you check the AI Act, the goal is to check the risk in terms of potential harm to the people, which fundamentally change the way, the scope, the vision of the standards per se. So for me, it's quite important, not only the European projects, but everyone to contribute and be volunteer to Sentinel-Lec approach and try to define the new AI standard, since it will give the opportunity to exploit our values and disseminate our values as a community.
And it's also been mentioning about values, both European, but also like in general values. Do you want to add any comment on how values can be preserved when AI systems are scaled across sector and countries, both with European initiatives, but as mentioned, it's not only a European matter?
If that question returns to me,
To everyone, yeah, if you want to comment.
Okay. Then I don't want to monopolize, so maybe
No worries.
George, I don't know. Dimitris,
Yeah, from my perspective, I think that let's take also the paradigm, the example of deploy AI that seeks to play a crucial role in transforming research about AI and how we can also foster and protect the fundamental human rights. This is done through the provision of a trusted and scalable AI ecosystem where we seek to, of course, to align with standards to align with ethical and legal mandates. So offering certification, overall governance, and monitoring frameworks definitely will foster the trustworthiness and the reliability of our approaches. Moreover, definitely things like federated approach, decentralized identity, the provision of self-deployed environments is also aligned with European legal and ethical standards. So these also are aspects that we have to take into consideration, and the initiatives such as Deploy AI, also the European Health Data Space are things that go towards this way. And as I mentioned, also the European Health Data Space, this is also another initiative that supports the cross-border interoperability, the data harmonization, and the fair data practices. So all these things definitely align and continuously reflect on the European values such as human dignity, privacy, fairness, accountability, and of course encourage the open and transparent and value-driven innovation and the collaboration between humans and AI at the end of the day. So these initiatives showcase the way and the future where Europe not only builds AI that perform, but also builds AI that that people trust and respects the human values and the dignity of all of us.